Hello class. In this video I want to discuss a lot of things that I have been noticing in the past couple of weeks as we move forward working inside Ubuntu all the time. So everything that you do in the class is done inside your virtual machine. Everything is done inside Ubuntu. There is nothing to do outside of here. Everything is here. So that answers the question of where do I do my week reports, or where do I do this, or where do I do the other. Now, this folder here, this is your GitHub repository, right? So the content of this folder needs to be the same as the content in GitHub, right? We should always have the same files there and organized in the same manner. So let me open my GitHub repository real quick. So my GitHub repository needs to be the same as this, right? So if you see the files that I have here, they are the same ones that I have over here. Now, a good advice that I give you is make sure you have these files organized, right? For example, I suggest to have one folder for your cheat sheets, because I'm going to be giving you a lot of them throughout the semester. One folder for your labs, and then inside the labs folder, I suggest you create one folder for every lab that you complete. In that way, you know that if you take a screenshot that happens to have the same name as the previous one, it's not going to get overwritten, right? So next, one folder for your weekly reports. And in the same fashion, every week report that you complete, you create a new folder over here and you work in there. Now, this part I haven't seen people struggling with, right? Comprehending this part. Now, what I have seen people struggle is with this. When we go to VS Code, right? This is what you should do all the time. Let's say you completed your lab, right? You did the lab, you have all your screenshots, you're about to write your document, or whatever document you're about to write. You open VS Code, and the first thing that you open is you click on File and you open your CIS folder, right? So when the file manager opens, I click once in my folder and I click OK. Make sure that the name of the folder over here is the folder that you open, because otherwise you're going to have problems, because this is not a, if you open any other folder that is not a GitHub repository, you're going to have problems sending your changes to GitHub. So that's the reason why. So once you have done this part over here, the first thing that you should do is, what are you working with? Are you working with a lab? And if you're working with a lab, you should have a folder here for the particular lab that you're working with, right? If you are working with lab number 5, for example, and the folder is not there, you should use the toolbar over here to create the particular folder that you're missing. Now, let's assume that I'm going to work on a weekly report, right? And I did weekly report 0 and weekly report 2, but I haven't done weekly report 3. So I'm going to create a folder for weekly report number 3. Now, I can either create the folder over here using the add a folder icon on the top, or I can open my folder in the file manager, go to my CIS 106 repository, go inside weekly reports, and then create the folder over here. If I do it this way, notice that the moment I create the folder, weekly report 3, the folder appears right away in VS Code over here, because that's automatic, right? Now I'm gonna delete this folder over here to show you the folder went away. Now I can do it from here as well. I make sure that I click here first, because I want to create the folder inside this other folder, and then I click on plus folder. The dialog box appears and I provide my name, which is weekly report 3, right? And then inside this folder, then notice that I click on the little arrow here. I'm going to create a file called weekly report.3.md, and now I can get to work on my report. So I'm going to start with the font matter. And then I'm going to think about the overall layout of my document. Now, I am going to open, since I'm working on my weekly report, I'm going to open the description of the weekly report to see what the professor is requiring me to include in this report so that I don't miss anything. Okay, put it right on the side. CIS 106. And since I'm working with report 3, I'm going to homework number 3. And then over here it says weekly report number 3 must contain the following: a summary of the presentations. Okay, and what are those? So we have exploring desktop environments. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna provide a title to my document, weekly report 3, and then title number 2 is gonna be, what's the first thing? Well, the first presentation is exploring desktop environments. So I'm gonna just type exploring desktop environments. The next thing will be the bash shell. Then managing software. And that's it. 3 presentations. Okay, perfect. Now, for the first presentation, then, I'm going to work slowly here. So, provide a bulleted list of different desktop environments. So, I'm going to go to Module 1, and I'm going to open it in a new tab, and I'm going to open this one in a new tab here. Exploring desktop environments, and the first thing that the professor wants is a bulleted list of different desktop environments. So, different desktop environments. Right over here, different desktop environments, but I'm gonna take, it's a bulleted list. So we have GNOME, Mate, KDE, XFCE, Cinnamon, Pantheon. Okay, I don't need to put them all over there, just a couple of them, because these are not even all desktop environments that are out there. So there you go. Definitions for the following terms: GUI and desktop environment. Here are the definitions over here. And you know what I'm gonna do? Definitions of GUI and desktop environment. I'm gonna take a quick screenshot of this. And I'm gonna go then to home, my CIS 106 repo, weekly reports, and then since I'm working on report 3, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna name this image. What name I'm gonna give to this image? Definitions of GUI-DE. Again, that menu, I open it by pressing Control and space. Okay, I'm gonna put a little break tag over here. Bulleted list of common elements of a desktop environment. Desktop settings. Display manager. File manager. Icons. favorites bar, and so on. Next, the batch shell. What is a shell and all of the other stuff. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole thing because this is just an example, right? Now, the next mistake that I see people making is right after they are done with their report, they forget to do one thing: save the file. How do I know? Simple. Notice this white dot over here. This white dot. If it's over there, it means that the document isn't saved. If you don't save your document and you do the git commands, the changes that you made to this document will not going to track. So that is a waste of time because you're not tracking anything. So what we do is we go to File, Save All. And now that the white dot is gone, then we can do our git commands. Now we're going to click on Terminal and we're going to click on New Terminal. Make sure before you start typing your git commands that you are in the right folder here, right? Make sure that your present working directory is your GitHub repository. Once you make sure of that, then you start typing your commands. For example, the first command that I like to do is a pull. A pull is going to make sure that if I have any file that is newer on GitHub, because I was working in a different computer later, it is downloaded to my computer before I can do anything else. This causes conflict in the future because your GitHub branch, your GitHub files cannot be newer than the ones locally in your computer. So we press enter, right? You should write this down. You should write this command down and have them over there in your notes. Next, I do an add. This is gonna add the changes that I made to my folder to Git, which is important. Done. Next, I'm gonna do a commit, which is gonna label these changes. Git commit -m, and here I provide a significant message. If I just finish the weekly report 3, I just simply put weekly report 3 complete. If I didn't finish the report, but I want to make sure to save my work because I gotta go to work or I gotta do whatever else, I will make sure that I label this commit appropriately. A message that indicates what I did. Enter. Next, I do a push, which is gonna take the changes that I did on my computer and send them to GitHub so that what I have there and what I have in my computer matches. Git push. Done. Save these commands because you're gonna use them consistently. Okay. Now, if you go to your GitHub repository, right? If we go to my GitHub repo, you are gonna notice that inside inside weekly reports, look at this. This is my commit. This is the commit message that I put. If I click over here, look at what opens. It tells me the changes that were made to these files. Okay, now let me go back real quick. Go here and notice that I have a folder called week report number 3 and it has exactly the same files that I have in my computer. If I open this, done. There you go. Now, let's say that, oh, professor, I forgot to create my PDF file. No big deal. You create your PDF file. And once this is done, we can just repeat the commands. Git add period, git commit -m added PDF for weekly report 3 and git push. Done. Done. Those git commands is what you do when you're done. VS Code and CIS 106 is the folder for when you're working. If you open any other folder, it's not gonna work, because if you notice, our repository in GitHub has the same name as our folder, so you're not gonna be saving in the right place. So that's our workflow. Now, whenever you forget, just come back to this video. The commands that I run are gonna be in the video description as well. If you have any questions, if there is any confusion, please let me know, and we can do a one-on-one session over Zoom to clear the air out. Have a good one, and I hope to see you next week.